Program Boss affirms government's commitment to fast-track takeoff of Maritime University, Okerenkoko. Gender equality activist sues for sustained training and mentorship of female delegates in Amnesty Program. Plus, fact file, tidbits, and more. A very good day to you out there, and welcome to another week of Reintegration 30,000. I am Stella Inameti. A quick reminder that this program is essentially a highlight of major events and occurrences revolving around the Presidential Amnesty Program and the Niger Delta region. As usual, we have a lineup of our regular segments, and we intend to bring you various aspects of the Amnesty Program implementation that depict reformation, positive impact, and generic growth of the Niger Delta. Talking about change and gains, let's move ahead by taking our first segment, A Changed Story. This week on A Changed Story, we have a delegate whose life not only transformed for the better, courtesy of the Presidential Amnesty Program, but who has also decided to make the best of his changed life to inspire others. Let's meet our changed story for this episode.
My name is Igoro A. Thompson. I'm a Bayelsan, Ogba local government, a Woma community. Before someone will take a hat, like say, I won't become militant, I won't do something now, annoyance, or something where they happen around your terrain for your community where you see, where no make sense, where you know say, this no make sense, so you just have to say it out. Like me, my mom was kidnapped in a period of crisis between my community and a neighboring community. And that is how they buried my mom without a corpse being found when I was 12. So for me to grow up and know that it is human being like me that have 2 legs, 2 hands, and 1 head like me, that maybe I don't know how they killed my mom, but I grew up with a group of boys that follow victims in the community, like 8 families. So most of them will say, if I grow up, if I see any, I go. If I see how many people, I go. I won't be like Igodo. That period, General Igodo was reigning. Though amnesty was not, we didn't know anything about amnesty, but there is a militant general that's called Igodo. It's not. I won't say it's a militant. It's Niger agitator. Let me say it's Niger agitator. It was called Igodo that period. So we were like, I want to be like Igodo. You understand? I go, if I go Ajib, if I go Cell, if I go any place, we say pertaining oil, blah 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 for our community, I will burn. I will. If I see people, I will kill. If I see, just that mindset, that is how we grow up. So that is the motivation that made me to be an ex-Niger Delta agitator. I don't know for any other person. I don't know what lead them. It was Tompolo that we saw. They were looking for him before, that we saw in the news that was shaking Yaradua, and they announces amnesty. Though the announcement, people didn't believe, even people were scared that how can someone take guns to the police station and submit and blah blah blah. All sorts of promises that they will train them, they will start paying them, that they will, anything that we want, they will do for us, like that, you know. But, you know, the Niger Delta, we have seen everything, you know, there's nothing that will be scary to us, you understand. So we just summoned the courage. My general then just summoned the courage to represent, among all the boys I had, to represent us. They went and submitted it, dropped the guns. They sent buses to us in Yenegua. I was in Bay Bridge in Yenegua. The buses arrived, and my commander called all the names that came out, in the newspaper, that will be going to Bubra. So I joined the bus. So on the bus, we landed Obubra in Cross River State. Going to our classes, I saw son to Martin Luther King Jr. that came to teach and take us through nonviolence training and gave us some history about the black race. In Obubra, anything that you want, if you want to go to school, any country that you want to go, you apply there. But we saw Emeka Ike came to Obubra to advertise his academy, my academy West Africa, that he trains people in film and TV production, that he has a school in Ghana. So he shares his flyers and they brought paper. Anybody that wants to go to Emeka Ike's school should write. So me too, I wrote. For me, I said, okay, this is what I want to be in life. Emeka Ike, my academy, contracted to NAFTI, National Film and TV Institute, Accra, Ghana. And we studied 6 courses, which is visual storytelling, film design, that is film design, set and props, then editing, cinematography, comprises of lighting and photography. Then we did production management. I put all my effort to try to make sure that I'm good in what I know that, okay, even though I don't go to school, let me have an handwork. So I have to be serious with this handwork that I'm learning. So I was one of the best directors in school then. Then I was one of the best editors in film editing in NAFTI then. When we came back, we have to do our, we did a project, like a roundup project with Emeka Ike. We shot a little film in Asaba with Emeka Ike, DDOB, and the crew that he trained. I got a job in CWE TV, that's Christian World Entertainment TV on the mainland, Akonjo area. So I worked there as a graphic designer, as an editor and a DOP, cinematographer there before I now moved to the island and worked with Unique Star Media as their DOP and editor. They took me to Congo, Ethiopia for jobs. So before this big package now came, that is the empowerment now came, that was last year. The kind of life I'm living then, it's only God that kept me alive. So I realized that if I go back and start that kind of life, I might not be able to survive, because I went through different processes of death and God still revived me.
Mantle Thompson may not be a celebrity photographer or cinematographer yet, but given his determination and focus, he may well be on his way to becoming someone of note in the industry. Well, the Presidential Amnesty Program is known to help young men and women dream and aspire for great heights, whether in vocations like welding and fabrication, or indeed in agribusiness. Speaking about agriculture, the Presidential Amnesty Program is initiating the cluster approach in attracting young Niger Deltans and helping them develop into entrepreneurs. On this episode of the program, we will take a look at the cluster farm approach in the Agribusiness Hub initiative of the Presidential Amnesty Program. The Amnesty Program training in agriculture has since evolved, manifesting in what has become an intensive agribusiness initiative. This undoubtedly captures the core essence for the current national interest in agriculture. The government's targets include to meet Nigeria's food demand, curb importation while growing areas where the country has comparative advantage in the hope of creating markets for export.
If we get it right in our focus on agriculture, candidly speaking, we will achieve 3 major things. First one is job opportunities. Second one is food security. And then thirdly, we shall sell our farm products and our financial position will be enhanced.
In joining the campaign, the Presidential Amnesty Program is training and preparing its delegates to take advantage of the opportunities already opening up in the agro-allied industry. Delegates under the program are being mentored on agriculture as business, whether in cropping, animal husbandry, fishery, or poultry. Delegates are being empowered in these areas after successfully concluding their training, but now in clusters, better known in the business circles as cooperatives.
Our model is fashioned along these lines. We cluster them into groups of 20, between 20 and 25. Then we incorporate a company, a cooperative society, each group. What that means is that at the farm, each group has 44. If there are 22 in the group, we give them 44 fish ponds. That means 2 per person. But no, you cannot point to any particular pond that belongs to one individual. It's a group thing. It's owned by that company.
The cluster farm approach is now being applied in almost every area of agricultural training and empowerment under the Amnesty Program. The office has spelled out its reasons for this approach, identifying increased production as a major factor. Under the cooperative society approach, communal pooling and resource sharing is key. And more importantly, the group or groups are registered as a corporate entity at the Corporate Affairs Commission.
There are several advantages of belonging to the cluster. With the cluster system, this cluster would have unfettered access to sourcing for loans, credit facilities, to enable them upscale the production.
Funding is a key motivation for most clusters. Access to fund is somewhat easier when lenders are dealing with corporate entities and businesses. And in Nigeria, the authorities have expanded the vista of opportunities for credits, not just for farmers alone, but other players along the value chain of some target crops.
There are a lot of funds that can be accessed. The Bank of Agriculture is there, the Bank of Industry is there, there is a CAP fund that is also there. There are a lot of funds that are readily available for them to access, but as an individual farmer, it's not easy accessing these facilities. But by belonging to this cluster, it will be easy for them to access credit facilities and also to get support from other NGOs.
Agriculture is a thriving business in today's Nigeria, making giant leaps in its contributions to the country's gross domestic product, GDP. The Presidential Amnesty Program understands the place of mentorship in boosting morale among its delegates who have become agric entrepreneurs.
I thank God for this cooperative. I believe that by the grace of God, the cooperative is going well for now.
And I thank God for today, for making me to be part of this cooperation. When they were telling me about cooperation, about this farm, I take it like something else. But today I have seen a dream light. So I encourage all my listeners, my friends, and my brothers, anywhere you are, please fix yourself. It's never too late. It's never too late. We'll still accept you. We'll still be with you. Please, anywhere you are, go into the farm. Any portion you have, anything you want to plant, it will go a long way and it will help Nigeria.
You're watching Reintegration 30,000, and up next is our segment Talking Point. We are delighted to have as our guest on this episode an Amazon, gender equality activist and a lady of significant repute in Niger Delta. She is Madam Bina Uduwe. Welcome to Reintegration 30,000.
Thank you.
Let's begin with a familiar subject for you, the issue of women, but this time we will look at their participation in the Amnesty Program. What is your impression of the program so far and women participation?
Thank you very much for your question. Women in the Amnesty Program, as we know, women are the pillars of our society. and for the amnesty to include them as those who supported the ex-agitators in the program is very commendable. And you cannot train the men without training the women, because the women are, like I said, the pillars of the society and the pillars of the home. I always say that the biggest problem in the Niger Delta is not just the degradation of the environment, but also the degradation of the mindset. We've worked with so many women, and we can see the degradation of the mindset. It is so bad that a lot more has to be done. When you call up a man for training, he can just walk from that minute you tell him and walk with you and go wherever you tell him. But to get a woman for training, she has to settle her family. She has to settle her children. We've had, at a time, we've had 26 children coming in with about 50 women. This is humongous, and the point is that when you train a woman, you train a community. The women go back and all the new things they have learned, not just the skill, but the life skills they've learned, other things that they've learned, they end up impacting their children, their grandchildren, and everyone around them. So I think it's very, very important that the Amnesty Office or the federal government continues this program, which is helping the peace, because most of the women are counseled daily in most of the training programs, and that counseling helps to reduce the problems that they have come with.
You're a strong voice in the Niger Delta. Can you speak to the issue of your involvement in making the Niger Delta a better place, and of course, the level of your partnership with the Amnesty Office?
Well, as we all know, any society that does not develop its women is a society that cannot thrive. So in training the women in the Amnesty program, we are building a new society in the Niger Delta. It has not been easy working as a trainer because there are many challenges. Our institute is Baramiri Design Academy, and we've been working with the Amnesty program for almost 5 years now. And what we do is basic literacy, fashion, tailoring and fashion design. And in doing tailoring and fashion design, we've also included other areas of fashion. For example, hat making, bead making, belts, handbags, and even shoes. The last set of students we worked with, we introduced them into shoemaking. And as a matter of fact, our best student currently came back to us for 6 more weeks of training, and he's now, what he's doing for himself right now is working as a shoemaker.
I am sure you have a few pointers for government and the people of the region in terms of collaboration and how to fast-track development in the region.
Let us be honest. There's so many broken promises, which is what led to the agitation in the first place. Government has to come out honestly to begin to implement some of the promises that they made. The Amnesty program is just a stopgap measure to bring peace to the Niger Delta. And to be able to bring peace to the Niger Delta, the government also has to fulfill the other end for sustainable peace. I believe that one of the things they can start with is the remediation of the environment. Another thing is roads. Once you open up the roads, private sector will come in with the infrastructure. Government will do its part. The government is supposed to create an enabling environment for other people to thrive. So what government needs to do, in my opinion, is to open up the roads. There's the East-West Road has been on the table for many years. There's another link, many bridges that have been abandoned, many, even the rail project, which we believe may come on stream. Once the government is able to fulfill all these promises, I believe that the people of the Niger Delta will also respond in kind by making sure that they also want to enjoy these new things and want to make sure that everything is safe in the Niger Delta. This is my belief.
We are constrained by time, but we have had an interesting time speaking with Madam Bina Yuduwe. We hope you can make out time to once again come speak on other issues of concern to the region. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Madam Bina Yuduwe is a gender equality activist and a strong voice in the Niger Delta region. Time now for our segment PAP in Recap. The The Special Advisor to the President on Niger Delta and Coordinator of Presidential Amnesty Program, Brigadier General Paul Buru, has reiterated government's commitment to ensure the smooth takeoff and operations of the Maritime University in Okerenkoko, Delta State. He applauded President Muhammadu Buhari for approving a significant increase of the takeoff grant from 2 billion naira to 5 billion naira. General Buru also confirmed that while the university has invited applications for academic staff positions, a total of 304 amnesty beneficiaries with expertise in maritime technology have applied for various positions in the university. Meanwhile, some leaders and stakeholders from the region have commended the Presidential Amnesty Office for due diligence and attitude commitment to delivering on its mandate. The commendation came during a visit to the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Niger Delta and Coordinator of Presidential Amnesty Program. The meeting, among other issues, discussed the state of affairs in the region, including the recent warning issued by the Niger Delta Avengers over resumption of hostilities. The group also discussed and commended the federal government for commitment to the Maritime University, Okerenkoko, Delta State.
We have support for President Buhari, so long as he matches his words with activities and actions.
We are also here to commend General Paul Buru and the Amnesty Office for a job well done.
This is where we draw the curtain on this episode of the program. We have had such a delightful time and hope you did too. Please keep a date with us next week, same time, same station, for more on the activities of the Presidential Amnesty Program. We have our several social media platforms for comments and contributions. Please feel free to visit these sites and drop your comments. We promise to be back next week, and until then, remember this: Amnesty works. I am Stella Inameti.